Hi, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out the major seventh interval. I'll be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of songs that make this particular intervallic jump is the first notes of their melody. I was struggling to find that. I found some for you, right? So it's not uncommon. When I learned it, I always just thought it was like a semitone lower or less than an octave. So an octave. So I always, through all of my years of training, I was always thinking an octave and then dropping back a semitone. But it's much better to get straight there. And I have found a interval for you, a fairly popular song, or popular in the 80s. You might have to probably go and look it up on YouTube if you're not familiar with this Take On Me by a-ha. But anyway, let's get through the interval part first. So it sounds like this. Okay, it's the seventh note of the major scale. You can hear it pulling like that. You hear that? It's really pulling to get to that octave. So it's just one semitone lower than the octave. And that's how, the song reference that I used was always Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but first note to the third note. So somewhere over the rainbow. Okay, but it is a step further than you would really like, to be honest. It's better to have an interval that goes straight there. And a-ha gave us one. I'm not sure why I didn't clock onto it, because it was definitely around when I was doing this sort of study. But take on me, take me on. Okay, that take on me, take on me. It's quite a funny one to sing because it's a little dissonant. If you're holding the root note still, take on. You have to be kind of confident with your note because it clashes with that root note. Take on. It's pretty dissonant. You're singing a fairly harsh interval there, but that's what you got to do if you're going to get this one under your ears. Then that's what you're going to have to be doing. Hear that? Somewhere over. So you're not going to test it until you get the third note if you're going to use Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So somewhere over. Now let's talk about playing it as well. So we're going to be looking at the root note C, just because that's the one that works well for my vocal range. But hopefully, as you're working your way through the course, you're finding the octave that works well for you and the root note, the key that your voice favors. So I'm starting with my first finger in the 3rd fret of the 5th string, second finger in the 4th fret of the 3rd string. So then let's work with Somewhere Over the Rainbow first. So you'd go somewhere over, and then test it on the over part, not on the somewhere, because that's just an octave. Somewhere over, or take on me. And it's going up to the octave, that one. Take on me. Okay, both of those ones are good. Take On Me is probably the one that I would use now if I was doing it again, but because, I studied it a long time ago, and for me, Somewhere Over the Road, Somewhere is the one that I kind of, my default setting, if I think about it. These days, mostly I can kind of imagine the sound of the interval and my fingers kind of show me what the shape looks like. That's kind of how it works for me most of the time now. And that's hopefully what you're going to get to if you practice consistently doing it on the guitar and testing your singing and building this relationship between your ear and your musical mind and your hand. That's really what I'd recommend that you're doing. So once you've got it right with that in the one position, in the zone that's comfortable for you, you want to start moving it around. So if we have somewhere over, somewhere over. Okay, remember you're changing the pitch of your voice to a key that you can actually sing in, because you're going to find, especially if I start moving up any higher, somewhere, that's difficult. Somewhere over. Okay, it's hard when you start singing out of your range. You've got to find a way of dealing with it, and maybe it's not going to sound great, but that's not the point. This is an ear training exercise, not a singing test, right? It's just about you being able to do those things. So doing it on your own in a nice quiet room where no one can hear you is a really, really good idea. Okay, even for me, if I start singing really badly out of tune, I'll hear the Mrs. Passion on the ceiling here. So somewhere on, try somewhere else. Somewhere on, or take on me. Okay, just starting to move it around just stay on that same string so that you're familiar with the shape and start moving it around. Get your ear used to the idea, getting your musical mind hearing that interval and your voice being able to sing the interval. That's really, really important step. Don't skip over it. Spend plenty of time on that. I would have thought 3 or 4 days at least doing that on the one string, just so you're really developing the sound of the interval in your musical mind. Really, really important. Once you're through that, then you want to start looking at other ways of playing it on the neck, of course. So on the thicker string, the 6th string root, the shape is the same. I'll stay in C again. So C to B now. Okay, so skip a string over one and up 1 fret. 1 fret lower than it was for the octave. Okay. 5th string root was the same thing. If we go on to... As soon as we get onto the B string, remember that anything that touches or goes over the B string is up 1 fret higher. So now the shape is almost like an octave was on the 5th and 6th string. So we're playing the C on the 10th fret of the 4th string and the B on the 12th fret of the 2nd string. You can hear if I play them together, it's a very, very dissonant interval. Kind of almost, very, very dissonant. One of the most dissonant intervals that you could get. That's why singing it, take on, take on. It's pretty harsh. And on the 3rd string to thinner string, it's the same shape. So 2 strings down, 2 frets up. Take on, take on me, or somewhere. Like I said, Somewhere Over the Rainbow worked for me, but if you can, I'd try and get real familiar with Take On Me as a song. Listen to it a bunch of times, put it on your favourite playlist in the car so that you get the sound of that melodic jump into your ear, and then you can practice it. And as I've, hopefully by this point you're familiar with the routine, at least 1, if not 2 weeks, 5 minutes a day, just working on playing and singing the interval. Starting just on that one string, moving it up and down and getting used to the different pitches, but then starting to play it all over the neck in whatever different area you want, and trying different pitches. It's going to be more difficult, a lot more difficult to do that. So be forgiving with yourself, these intervals, because the intervallic jump is quite far, quite difficult to sing. So you're might have to do a little bit of work on your vocals as well, but it'll really help you with your pitching, this kind of exercise. It's a real great one. Remember, there's going to be more tips and tricks for you over on the website notes, and you can ask questions. I'll check out the questions and try and give you some feedback. If you're really struggling with some stuff, maybe I can find some exercises that'll help you, and I'll add them to the course so it helps everyone. So asking me questions, really, really helpful for me. Do it on the website. That's better than doing it on YouTube, where I struggle to keep my eyes on so many different things. So hopefully this will help you out on your ear training journey. Plenty more over on the website. Go and see the whole course over there. I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.